Okay, we're recording.
Must be on.
Man, you are right on schedule.
Just on the nick of time there, Mike.
Good evening, everyone. This is the Town Council, Town of New Canaan. Regular meeting for the Town Council. It's Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. It's 7:02 p.m. We can be reached by Zoom if you want to jump on. There's a link on the town website. And the meeting should be available for viewing on channel 79 tonight as well. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. We had Cub Scout Pack 7 coming, but they're not here yet. So we're going to do it without them. So if you all rise, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. On to the minutes. We need an approval of the minutes for the following regular meeting, September 20th, 2023. Everybody had a chance to read the minutes. Are there any deletions? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Penny. I'm going to steal your thunder there. Sorry about that. All right, let's do the
Trying to
roll.
get it going tonight.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do the roll.
First off, I will apologize for not being in attendance last month.
Okay.
I was awake and I was in the middle of an ocean body that did not have any internet.
Hopefully you had a nice trip.
So I tried. Okay, Robin, I believe he's gonna come a little later.
Yeah, Robin's gonna staying put. She'll be here at about 7:15.
Okay. Rita? Bettina?
Here. Present.
Griff,
Here.
Mark Zimsky,
Here.
Steve Carl.
Here.
Luke Kaufman,
Here.
Nick Morrow.
Here.
Maria Naughton,
Here.
Kimberly Norton,
Here.
Hillary Orman,
Here.
Christina Ross.
Here.
Penny Young, here. We're all here except for Robin.
All right.
Her attendance later.
Thank you, Penny. All right, now on to the minutes. Minutes, approval of the minutes for the following regular meeting, September 20th, 2023. Any deletions, corrections, additions? Christina?
Yes, I'd like to amend the recommendation of the audit committee member and remove him from the agenda.
Tonight's agenda?
On tonight's agenda?
Yes.
We were doing.
Okay, those are two separate
Talking
things.
about the minutes.
Minutes,
doing-
minutes,
Yes, please.
minutes.
Oh,
Minutes from
sorry.
last time.
I'm
Minutes.
sorry, the minutes, I'd like to amend the minutes to not go into any detail as to the discussion that should have been taken place in executive session regarding the candidate. I think it was a huge mistake because the town council had extensive conversations about what should go into the minutes and what should not go into the minutes. And when you read the minutes for that meeting, you have a sentence or a paragraph on it, on everything, and you have a page and a half on that appointment. And I think that was unconscionable.
All right, so at this point, you have to either make a motion to, so you want to strike the entire portion of those minutes? Is that what you want to do? Not quite sure what you want.
I think you know what I want.
I think you have to state it.
Yeah, you have to state it. Then we'll have to
Okay,
vote.
may I have the minutes?
Sure. Let's see, where are we?
Tucker, we need the minutes
Okay,
back.
we need the minutes.
Can I suggest,
I think you're suggesting to just have a saying discussed audit committee and nothing more than
The
that.
Same as what we
Yeah.
agreed before, that should be reflected in the minutes.
Yeah, so. So basically striking most of this and just saying the bare minimum.
Which is what we do with every other agenda item.
significant discussion would be sufficient.
Yeah, and then we would have to keep we'd have to keep the voting part of it in favor and
The
the motion.
motion to,
All right, so we want to, so what you're saying is we want to strike, so we have to actually put the words here, so. Yeah, so let's do that.
may I have the minutes? The minutes were not on our seats. I didn't see them.
Oh, they're on your tablets, but that's all
On your
right.
tablet.
Our tablets aren't working, actually.
Yeah, the tablets aren't working. I think they need an update. I just updated mine.
Well, we haven't been told to
Audit committee
update our.
appointments.
Can I ask, Maria, did you go to settings? And
Yes.
update?
Software update?
Settings and update.
Okay,
Personnel setting.
from Mr. Carl down to,
Sorry, tell me where you are, I'm sorry.
there was significant discussion regarding the process followed for the appointment to the audit committee and the timing of the appointment,
Period.
period.
Period. And that's it. And then just strike everything else.
Yeah, strike everything else all the way down to
What about the vote?
motion. The motion, up to the motion.
Yeah, so I think we still have to follow all the motions, but the descriptors of the language, I guess, is a,
Yeah, so you. Then you would keep the last,
Keep the last word.
two paragraphs.
yeah, where it starts with Ms. Naughton, I think.
Yeah,
And just keep that, but strike the middle portion. So that is the change. And we need a second.
second.
Everybody okay with that? Second? All right. Yes.
Stated. Requirements and then it ends with March 7th, 2023, right?
Correct.
Right.
Okay, then that first sentence ends at, and the timing of the appointment, period. Everything else comes out except for, and then we go to Ms. Naughton amended the original motion, that stays, those two.
And those-
stay?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Someone's gonna make a motion to make those changes.
So Christina made the motion and Mark, you want a second?
I second.
All right, so all in favor? And that is unanimous. Good.
I'd like to make another note, when the minutes are posted online, there's no mention of the draft minutes. And there's no difference between the minutes posted online and the final minutes, other than when they're revised. I take exception to that. They should be marked draft until we vote on the minutes.
They're stamped as draft when they're submitted to the town clerk's office.
But that,
She takes them in as draft, she stamps them as draft. To check how they're posting them on the website, what I'm gonna do going forward for you to put a watermark on it.
Great.
Make sure.
Great.
We'll say draft and then we'll say. final.
thank you.
Yeah, they're never final until we actually vote on them. So,
Right. Thank
all right.
Was there another?
Uh,
was there
and
another
that's,
amendment to strike something, or was that just the?
no, that was the minute. So we got to do that. So with the changes, we've got the changes in there and we've got those approved. Robin just arrived.
Was there I only partially heard it. Was there to be a motion to amend tonight's agenda?
No, I think that was for the
Yes.
minutes. Oh, you want to do that too?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we need that. We need that next. So
To amend the agenda to remove the appointment to for candidate to the audit committee, as he does not want to be considered for the position any longer.
A second.
Maria seconds. All right. All those in favor of amending the agenda as described?
To strike number 8.
Strike number 8. Yes. And that is unanimous. Thank you, Christina. All right, and moving on, we have first selectman update. Oh, sorry, public comments. Next, public comments. Members of the public are welcome to speak to the town council on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Speakers are requested to provide their name and street address. Comments will be limited to 2 to 3 minutes, subject to the total number of speakers. Would anybody like to address the council? No one on Zoom? Okay. And no one in the audience that I see. All right, thank you. Thank you, Bob. All right, Kevin, first selectman update. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening. I'll give you the same update I gave to the Board of Finance last week, which was not much because there hadn't been a lot changing since our September meeting. Update on capital projects. The Waveney bathrooms are not yet open, but they're completed except for some hardware that on the doors. Waveney elevator, as I reported, is underway. The Waveney service area is almost completed with the conjunction of the Waveney Park Conservancy funding.
Could you speak into the microphone a little more? I think the people in the audience are having,
The
thank you.
we had our meeting last night, our monthly meeting on 220 Elm. The Board of Ed is very pleased with their new abode and no issues there. The PD project is on schedule. And the move to Locust is being fitted out now. The library loan's on the agenda. The nuclear program is moving along, and I think I reported in September Weston has joined, but we're hopeful that Wilton and Westport may join. Utilities Commission met last night and is still working on the idea of doing an updated drive test. The Affordable Housing Committee appointments we delayed. And as you can see, a lot of roads downtown are going to be repaved in the next few weeks. And Harrison Avenue water installation is a nightmare because they have a big leak there that they can't find, but I think they may have just found it. So in the Vine Cottage, the Board of Selectmen decided to delay the issuance of RFP at least until our meeting on November 8th. So that's it.
Thank you, Kevin. Any
Is the RFP finished or is it still being worked on?
Still being worked on.
When do you expect it to go out? After the November 8th meeting? Or before?
If we vote on it at the November 8th meeting.
Could I ask how the RFP is worded? How is determined what the points are?
Well, the
Is it-
draft
is
is
it
essentially
solely
the same
by
as
the-
what was previously, the draft is essentially what we had issued 2 years ago.
Okay, have we all seen that?
I think we circulated to Steve.
I think it came to us, but if you haven't seen it, I'll send it out again.
Well, I think it'd be important for all of us who are eventually going to be voting on this, that we understand what is put in the RFP and make sure that we, from a public knowledge standpoint,
Yeah.
agree with what is going to be part of an RFP.
Yeah, it's on the public packet for, yes, Tuesday's meeting for the Board of Selectmen. So it's available to you.
Great. Thank you. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, next item up, number 5. Library loan documents legacy building. Review and discussion of a proposed amendment to the construction line of credit for the New Canaan Library project, and review and or discussion of a proposed legacy building loan agreement and promissory note with the town of New Canaan and New Canaan Library. Lisa and Bob Butman, good evening.
Okay, good evening. Welcome. I'm Bob Butman, Chair of the Board, and Lisa, the Executive Director of the Library. We're here to discuss 2 items this evening related to the current construction loan agreement between the library and the town. And the first is an amendment to the current agreement such that we reduce our borrowing capacity from 10 million down to 5 million. And I'll explain why we want to do that. And then the second is to institute a new document or a new agreement that would enable us to finish out the relocation of the 1913 Legacy Building to its current location and to fund potential outfitting, if you will, or completion of that project in a phase 2 over the next year or 2. So those are the really 2 things. They're related, but in many respects, they're separate because of the MOU and the original agreement. So they can't be intertwined. So if we go into the actual construction loan agreement as we have today, it's pretty much all good news in the fact that where we stand in terms of the project and our need for financing is ahead of schedule. Okay, so I mean, I think most of you have walked by the corner at 151 Main and seen that the green is well underway and is on schedule to be completed at or before year end. And that's exciting news. And as far as the project is concerned and the budget, it is actually on or below budget. So that's a $40 million budget in total. And that's represents both phase 1 and phase 2 of the major main building project. So we're now about 94% of the GMP has been paid. And we have roughly another, we'll say $2 to $2.5 million that we need to pay the construction manager, Turner Construction, finish out the project. So as part of phase 2, And as part of a town mandate, I think you'll all remember that P and Z asked us to move the 1913 building, and which we agreed to do as part of that condition, and it is now relocated up against where the gas station is, and I think everyone's seen that, and it's not completed yet. If you look at what needs to be done, it's going to be stabilized on the foundation. It needs to be weather tight. We've stubbed out all the utilities, drainage needs to be completed, but it's going to be an incomplete building at that point. Phase 2 of the legacy project would entail the actual new windows, metal roof, finishing the interior in some way, shape, or form, an HVAC, water in the bathrooms. But at this point, we're not going to get a CO for it. We're going to just essentially get a statement that it's completed as per the requirements of P and Z. Okay, so that really dictates where we are financially. So we have drawn down on the current $10 million loan, $4 million, and we'll start paying interest on that in February of 2024, February 1st, 2024. We don't anticipate, because of our fundraising and cost control, if you will, that we're going to need any more money. If in fact the pledged receivables come in on schedule, which we hope they will, over the next several years. But on the other hand, if they don't come in and it's a timing issue or mismatch between the pledges receivable and our costs, because we have to finish out paying Turner, what we have done is, in this new agreement and the amendment, is allowed us to continue to borrow up to 1 million more, for the total of 5 million, and an extension, if you will, to the year end of 2024. So the project in the actual document was due to be completed at the end of 2023. So this way we have another year if we need to draw down additional funds, just because of the mismatch of the timing of pledges versus costs. Okay, so those are the two items related to the main project. Now, we have currently spent on the legacy building 1.4 million of the library's capital, including some part of our endowment, to get the building where it is today up on its current slab location. But there is still roughly another $750,000 that we owe in the GMP related to that particular part of the project, phase 1 of the legacy, to Turner Construction. So, and other subcontractors. So at this point, the library is tapped out with respect to our capital. And right now, the only source of capital we have is our endowment, which we've, as I said, we've already drawn down slightly. So the purpose of this loan would be to facilitate us finishing phase 1 of the legacy and give us some dry powder to potentially borrow another $1 million, so a 2 million total, if we need it, for the further construction and the completion of the legacy building. At this point in time, I think you all know that we don't know the final purpose or the timing of this building. So there's a lot that needs to be decided, but at this point, we just need to finish out phase 1 before we go to phase 2. So we would anticipate of this $2 million loan facility that we probably only draw down 1 million over the course of the next month, probably as soon as possible, so we can pay off Turner. And then the other $1 million would be only used at a point in time when we decide what the purpose of the building is and for fitting it out. So as I mentioned, that would cover windows, roofing, whatever we decide to do inside the building, what its purpose would be. And of course, as part of this, we were going to fundraise in a separate effort to raise the money that would enable us to finally complete this portion of the overall library project. And we anticipate that the complete cost of the legacy building might be approximately $3 million. So we've already spent 1.4. We're going to borrow another 2, and we would anticipate having pledges that would enable to pay off that particular part of the loan over time, as well as providing the town with collateral. And that collateral would be our endowment. And our endowment is roughly 1.6 million now. So in theory, I would say there's a high probability, there's 100% probability that we'd borrow $1 million, but we have $1.6 million endowment that can back it up if we don't raise the pledges. But as you've seen, in terms of the performance of the overall library and our success in raising 30 million out of the basically 40 million that's cost to do this project, I mean, we're fairly confident that once there's a purpose and a design, a final design that we can effectively communicate to the community that, what we want to do, and that, people in New Canaan are generous and will support finishing out the project. So that's kind of the overview.
Well, thank you, Bob. And
Yep.
then, what many of us, some of us were at the Board of Finance meeting, and the rest of us, I think, were able to watch the meeting. We sent that around last night, so hopefully everybody got a chance to view that portion of the meeting. And one of the things that you mentioned during the Board of Finance was you do have a seed donation too of what, a $250,000 donation to get started on that,
Correct.
on that path to the.
It's 200,000.
200,000. Okay.
And we've already received the first, it's a 4-year pledge,
Mhm.
and we've received the first 50,000 of that.
That's a good sign.
Yep.
Very good sign. All right. So while we have them, this was a discussion to get us up to speed. Now, obviously we watched the Board of Finance meeting. Kevin's here tonight as well. Maybe Kevin, can you just step up to the mic for a second? Just can you tell us again what the cadence of sort of the next steps are, so that we're up to speed on that as well? Because we invited the new town council members to tune into the meeting as well. I see Eric Tunham's here tonight. So this is going to be a handoff into November. So what's the next step in the process?
Well, we believe we're going to bring a funding authorization in November, because we're debating whether we really did this on the authority of making an investment, or whether we need to have an authorized appropriation. If we do, we will bring it in November, so that we have funding behind the contract that you can approve tonight, send your tablets, or indicate you intend to approve it, and we'll bring the appropriation in November.
So what you're saying is we could either do a straw poll approving a document that's coming, or we could wait. It's kind of that's an awkward situation to be in. So I just want to be clear what we're doing.
If we're doing an appropriation, we have to advertise
Yeah.
the action in November after. So
I mean, if that's the proper way to do it, that's what we should be doing. So, I mean, so we'd have to advertise it for 2 weeks. It would have to come back to the council in November for the
Right.
final vote. So
Exactly.
tonight we can sort of say, hey, this is what we want to do. We watch the Board of Finance conduct, and we want to send the message that, yes, this is what we want to do. So with that, I'll open up the floor for questions. Does anyone have any questions for Lisa, Bob?
I have a
Christina?
comment. At the Board of Finance meeting, I understood the statement made that when planning and zoning approved the legacy building, that it should remain, that it was an unfunded mandate. And I take exception to that, because after the town has given the library $10 million for the construction, has bought 2 lots to enlarge the footprint of the lot, I just feel it's ungrateful to the taxpayers to not acknowledge the amount of money the town has spent. And if the legacy building is as important as it is to this town, it should be the least that the library does to keep it and preserve it. So that's all I want to say. We are the ones that approve the operating budget for the library year after year. So it's a debt that the entire tax-paying town affords the library. And I think that a little acknowledgement to the taxpayer as to their contribution would go greatly appreciated.
Well, I'll just say that we're extremely grateful for the $10 million grant, because it facilitated starting the whole fundraising process. Showed that the town was partner with the library in undertaking and starting this project and getting it to the finish line. So, I mean, I view the library, and I think Lisa does as well, the library in the town is joint partners in this whole project. As far as the legacy building, it's an issue of, it was the actual decision, or it was a condition put on the library by P and Z. So it's slightly different, but we accepted that condition and we've forthrightly gone forward and funded it with our own capital to basically meet that condition and move it to a location that would enable us to finish our green as planned in the total project. So, I mean, I think it's a win-win for the town, and it's in the library. I think Lisa can address this. I mean, it's it's exploding in terms of its use, and everyone has been, for the most part, delighted that the final product is one that everyone loves.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I can't tell you how many times I've been on the street and people have said that library is unbelievable. I mean, it's across the board has been a home run. And even today, there was an emergency fire and emergency preparedness meeting in the Bartlett Auditorium. It was packed with police, EMS, going over emergency stuff for the town. I mean, the library is used in so many different and new, unique ways now. It's really amazing. But anyway, any other questions or comments?
I do. And this is going to be based purely on hearsay. So I want to know the legitimacy of the hearsay is that your endowment has constraints on it as to how it can be used. That's the hearsay part of it. And if there are constraints, is the endowment available as securitizing, the credit line to the town?
Okay, so there is some part of the endowment that's restricted, which is in separate accounts that has nothing to do with the actual endowment. So if you think about anytime we get a restricted donation, it is isolated into a separate account.
Sure.
And it cannot be used for any purpose other than what's stated in the gift. On the other hand, the broader endowment, which I just mentioned was roughly 1.6 million, has basically rules that the library has written with respect to its use, but pending a vote from the board, we can use it for collateral for this purpose. In fact, we've used it and we voted already to use some portion of it to fund the bill last month from Turner Construction when we didn't have any other proceeds in capital. So for the legacy building. So the answer is, as long as the board of directors, approve it, then we're fine with using it as collateral.
Is it unencumbered right now?
It is unencumbered now. There's no liens against it of any sort. I mean, it's obviously part of the library's capital structure. So in the first loan of 10 million, I mean, if the library was to default, in theory, I mean, it would be an asset that could be captured by the town in theory, but hopefully we never get to that point, thankfully.
No. Hillary.
So just to be clear, is the reason why you can't draw on the original loan document to cover the legacy building because of what was explicitly said in the MOU about not using any funds?
Correct.
So that's why we're amending. Your proposals it's still a net savings, right? If you don't draw down, you're not drawing down the maximum, you're reducing that. And then what you're adding to it, it's still less than the 10 million.
The total borrowing capacity has been reduced from 10 million to 7 million.
That's not bad.
No,
Never
that's
heard of that
good.
happening in a construction project. Thank you. I just wanted
Yeah.
to make that clear that you were prohibited by the MOU.
Yeah.
Kim.
Hi, I have a couple of questions and comments. If I do the math, it looks like you spent 1.4 on legacy and then 750. So that would be about 2.1 million so far. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then you want,
That's for phase 1 of legacy.
right. And then you're,
Just to be clear, the 750 is this month and next month.
okay. So then the other 2 million would bring it up to about 4.1 million. That would be spent on
No.
legacy.
So the right now we've spent 1.4. We are going to use the first drawdown of the $2 million line of credit, which would be 1 million, to finish out phase 1. So that would pay for the 750 plus reimburse our endowment a little bit for what we just took out of it, plus pay other subcontractors as it relates to phase 1. Phase two would involve potentially a drawdown of another $1 million, but we haven't determined whether we're going to do that. And hopefully we'll never need to use it because we'll get pledges in the interim and figure out essentially, what the purpose of that building is going to be. And then, but we've anticipated in the initial design of the building, which Centerbrook architects put together, that the total cost after it was finished and fit inside with offices and bathrooms and things of that sort, a new roof, new windows, et cetera, would be roughly 3 million.
So I guess what would be helpful for me to make a decision is to see some kind of a breakdown of how all that works out. I mean, I know the building, correct me if I'm wrong, it's about 1,300 square feet now. It was cut in half and moved. So, for one of the jobs that I see us doing up here is representing the taxpayer. And I understand this is a association library, but to get a sense of what that $3 million is being spent on for a 1,300 square foot building would be super helpful to me to understand that process and make it open for the taxpayer and all of us to have a transparent sense of, what we're paying for, so
Sure.
to speak.
No, so, I think it's outlined in the initial GMP that Turner provided, but I can tell you right now exactly what the numbers are spent so far. So in fiscal year 22, we spent 112,000 on Centerbrook for design and development. And Robinson and Cole are attorneys for doing all the legal work. We spent 465,000 in fiscal year 23 for Wolf Movers and to move, if you remember, that little artwork that was on the walls, things of that sort. And then this fiscal year in 24, we've spent 710,000 with Wolf and Turner Construction. So that's roughly 1.3 million. And the remainder is really going to go not in soft costs, but primarily in hard costs to Turner Construction to finish out. They have to infill the whole structure with cement, finish out the foundation, do structural support. So there's a whole bunch of things. And then they're actually going to take and repurpose some of the stonework for the foundation to make it look beautiful on the front side, along with where you see it from, if you're looking up towards the front, towards the green. So there's still work to be done.
And then the projected costs, I don't know if
Then-
you have those, like what that
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
going into, because I
right.
know I've applied for a construction loan when we renovated our 100-year-old house. And we had to come up with really specifics of exactly what we were spending it on and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, I think, we can certainly provide that.
And the good news is, Kim, that one of the things about this is it's a line of credit, so it's being paid back. So, as long as they pay back what they've spent, the taxpayer will be made whole. So.
No, I understand that. I think this is the first time the town has loaned money. I'm not sure. And then I had another question. Maybe this is for Kevin. Will it be bonded and will it be a taxable bond, or how will that work? Or
It will
it
not
come
be
out of the
bonded.
General fund?
We've decided we won't bond it. It will be taxable. We can't get around it being taxable. The construction loan was done on a tax exempt basis because we were allowed to. I want to go back to your first point, though. The loan documentation requires that the library, when they make a request, include photocopies of the vendor's purchase orders, contractors' invoices, receipts evidencing prior payments. So all the documentation of what you're talking about has to be provided before we will make an advance.
Okay, that's great. I mean, I don't know if other people want to see it, but I think that would be, some transparency for everyone to understand what's going on. It is a little bit, it's an awkward situation, I think, in general, but to spend 3 million on that building just seems like a lot, given how small it is, but I understand preservation costs a lot of money, but, so those are just my comments.
Thank you, Kim. All right, any other questions before we?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Mike.
I'm just wondering, was this not contemplated in the outset of this project that we would need money for the relocation? It's more of a broader point.
When do you mean by the outset?
When we were discussing the $10 million line of
We didn't have the legacy, we didn't yet have the mandate.
it wasn't set yet. That's
Right.
all. I just need.
And the documentation and the MOU explicitly said none of the 10 million would be used for the legacy
Yeah,
building.
I saw that,
Yeah.
right.
I just have a couple of technical questions and I just want to say that I think the library looks absolutely fantastic. My entire family enjoys it. It's like a hallmark here in town. And it's, you know, whenever you're building and have construction and things of that nature, you know, we want to hold ourselves as tight as possible to projections, but things happen and I understand that. I was just looking from the language in the documents for the line, maybe I'm misreading, but there's some things that says that, you know, interest will be paid on anything outstanding until the loan is paid in full. Well, interest doesn't pay principal. So like, there's just some language. And then it says it's a 10-year loan. The max is 10 years loan, but then the maturity is less than, you know, 9 years from when the loan is granted. So there's just some things that there aren't exactly mapping within the technical, the language on the document. And I just went into some of the data points there. And, you know, again, maybe I'm missing something, but again, I'm super supportive of the library. And I think it's been an amazing project. And you guys, even during COVID times, you guys move things along very aggressively, have a great staff, super positive there. But I just want to make sure that, you know, we talk about, hey, it's in the language, it's in the language, in the language. But if the language doesn't map to where it's supposed to be appropriate, like timing, maturity, interest pays back principal.
I think the version that you have of the promissory note, which you might be referring to, has a typo with the year is off by 1 year. If that, and I think the lawyers had to correct that. Yeah.
I just made it through the
No,
first page. And
right,
there's
yeah.
probably 4 corrections that
Yeah,
probably need to
yeah.
be addressed.
There's a typo in there. I wasn't sure whether it had been corrected or not, but it will get a full and final review by the attorneys,
This is in
the town
support of-
attorney and the library's attorney. Make
Yeah.
sure that everything's correct.
This is just, I'm just doing a little cleanup work here and I was
Yeah.
just, you know, mapping the first 1.5 pages just to make sure like numbers, timing, rate,
Right.
and you know, the things of, if we're holding ourselves honest and saying, hey, it's in the document, we're going to provide you pictures and things of that nature. But then if you look at it like repayment, hey, interest will be paid until principal, until the loan's paid back. That doesn't make any sense. It's like interest doesn't pay principal. So I was just wanted to have it be appropriate so that when we hold ourselves, you know, to the documents, that the documents reflect what really is going to happen.
Thank you, Luke.
I believe that's exactly what the Board of Finance said in their meeting too, that there were going to be cleanup things between, you know, the Board of Finance and the lawyers and you all, and that unless there were significant material differences, that the cleanup would be what was approved, would be approved.
Yeah, and that's the point too about this appropriation where it has to go in the paper for 2 weeks. The language that goes in the paper, as we all know, you got to put the language in, but it can't be significantly altered after it goes in the paper. So when we notice that, you know, it's got to be right. So hopefully we make sure that the changes get made. Will we see that?
We don't advertise the whole
Yeah.
this loan documentation is extensive because it's a collateralized obligation.
Well,
We
like
have-
the-
So we have to provide for the control agreement for the
The front page at least. So
Yeah,
but anyway,
this
the-
is I mean, in commercial finance for 25 years. So like, this is what I do on a daily basis. So just want to make sure that we represent the clarity. There's a lot of very strong, intelligent people here that put a lot of time, energy and effort to producing these documents, that the outcome is unbelievable, just to make sure that, you know, it's in line with what we're doing.
So the question then becomes on the 15th is the next time the council will meet. And actually 2 questions. One, to the library. Is that if this is passed in time, does that give you enough runway to get this going? If it's the 15th of November, by the time we get this passed, and then walk me through the timeline, Kevin, as far as it wouldn't be till December where the money would be available.
well, then
right?
you have 8 days beyond after action by the town council. So
Yeah.
it should be
So by
really within November.
yeah, so the next, so then 8 days following would be the 25th. So hopefully by December, say December 1, funds would be available, I guess, how does that look in terms of?
Well, we thought about that in advance because we weren't sure about the timing. So we have set aside a certain portion of the endowment in cash that could be used to pay off the current bills and then reimbursed when the funding actually is enabled, if you will. So if it's the end of November, December 1, then we're just going to have to, talk to Turner and others and determine the size of those invoices and pay them out of our own proceeds in the endowment and then reimburse the endowment shortly thereafter.
Can I ask one
Sure.
one question? Sorry. So I keep hearing this interchange between it's a loan and it's an appropriation. And is it because we're not bonding it that are we setting aside a chunk of money that they might not use the whole of from our general fund? Or because if it's an appropriation, that's my confusion. Sorry.
Hillary, the two were connected because once we realized they were paying down the construction loan.
Yeah.
Then Ian decided that we had the ability, if we wanted to use the general fund to make a loan. We
Okay.
thought we were going to have to do a bond.
Yeah.
And that is what it's got us working on a note that had language that really was addressed to what Luke was just talking about. And then once we decided we could do it the other way, we had to quickly come up with a new note that may not be perfect, but it was based upon the fact we had to tear out some of the things that were for a bonded note.
So it's a little structurally different from the other loan that we had where we were going out as the town getting the loan so that we could get a great rate for you guys, but now we're giving them a loan. from
But
the
even,
general
even
fund.
that, even on the construction loan, we decided not to bond it.
Oh, okay.
So
The original construction loan was broken into two parts, if you remember. One was 5 million out of the general fund, 5 million that would have been bonded. The bonded piece has been effectively made dormant.
Okay, right.
We're not going to use it.
Right, by amending
Right.
the initial loan. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that for my own.
I have a
and if we
question.
could have, we would have given them the benefit of the tax exempt rate, but
So,
Give
so
back.
we're taking 7 million, we would take 7 million out of the general fund, 5 plus 2. What percentage
for
of that?
right now, they may come in for another million on the construction loan, or they may not in December because they don't know whether their pledges are going to be paid in December. They may not borrow another $1 million. The other two, they're going to draw down an initial amount, and then another million will be available when they have plans for phase 2 of the building.
And what percentage of that is the general fund? Is the general fund like
All
20
general
million?
fund. It's all general fund, but
But how much is in the general fund now? Is it like 20 million?
29 million,
Okay.
including, this, it represents an asset in the general fund.
So I guess my question is, and I'm not on the Board of Finance, and maybe to answer this, what is the percentage of exposure the town should have in their general fund that's used for a loan, since we've never been in this territory before? With $7 million of the general fund, right, being used as a loan?
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but we keep 10% unassigned in the general fund. This will not affect that unassigned balance. So we've done some consolidation of other accounts to streamline in like a feeder fund type of structure, so that we actually have more cash out there. We just invested another 20 million that we hadn't before, and we have extra cash that this is something we can do and use as an investment vehicle. And not affect the fund balance.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Kim. Mark.
Kevin, is there any way to expedite it?
If we can find a way, we will. We
Because
really,
Your next meeting is,
Is it
is
that the next?
I mean, we could have special meetings, but I think the November schedule you can deal with. So
I mean, that's why I asked the question, because in construction, asking Turner to sit on a bill for a month is,
Yeah.
that's
We had
that's a big ask.
anticipated there might be delays and we'd have to temporarily borrow from the endowment. So, 3 or 4 months ago, we moved some of the equity exposure into cash at 5+%, and we can use that to temporarily.
you keep my attorneys
bills.
billing our police department too. So
That's
that
true.
they're-
We
they're
do have
happy-
that leverage. We
they're
have that
happy to have the
leverage.
business.
That's good. Yeah, that's good.
that's a good move, moving.
Yeah.
Moving it.
Hi, Maria. Go ahead.
I guess I just can't get past one thing. The building is about 12 or 1,300 square feet, and we're talking about it costing $3 million. So it's like over 2,300 a square foot, and we don't know the purpose of the building. So I feel like why are we rushing if we don't know what the purpose of the building will be, and how do you outfit the inside if you're not sure what you'll use it for? I just don't feel like we have enough information, even though this is a line of credit.
But that,
Um,
Yeah.
clarify, because that's phase two. that
That's
you're
phase
referring
two,
to.
Maria. So just to be clear, Bob can state that again, but it's phase two, not the fit out. This is phase two.
So
So
it,
this doesn't include the inside?
No.
Is that-
Phase one is just the moving of the building, the stabilization of it and the placing it on the foundation. That's already been incurred and they've already spent money. So just to
So
clarify.
that part of it, it really can't be counted toward the square footage of a
Right.
calculated finish number, because the building wasn't there. Now it's there. Now, once it's in place, then you can start the clock on the finish.
Well, and then my second point is I would just really like a high level executive chart of all of this and an executive summary of what was spent where, a one pager, what we're looking to spend. I think that would,
That's fair. That's a
yeah,
good point.
I think we can provide the details of the GMP, which it gives you exactly how that money was spent. I mean, $500,000, close to $500,000 was spent with Wolf Contractors to actually
That was a big-
jack up the building, put it on steel rest and move it 100 and some feet. So, that's big
job.
chunk of money.
I think that's a extremely fair point, is that the square footage can't be associated given the
Right.
complexity of what we're doing here.
Right.
But I think also in the same breath, you make an excellent point, Maria, that to get you say, hey, well, 500 were spent here or there, just transparency and clarity, right? Just say,
Sure.
hey, where the money is going. And we understand there's pain points and things and delays and things of that nature. I think it's a powerful tool to have information and to be transparent with that and say, yes, it's 1,300 square feet and we're spending this, it seems like enormous amount of money, but this is what we're doing and this is how we spent that money. I think that's powerful and useful.
Yeah, we're happy to provide that. and
That would be
it's-
awesome.
It's not that complicated. I mean,
All right.
One question.
Christina, one more.
At the meeting, the Board of Finance meeting, it was discussed, questions came up as to what protects the town in terms of being able to recoup the capital if for any reason the library was to become defunct or be liquidated. And there was reference made to the charter for the library. And I'm looking at it and on paragraph 6, it says, in the event of liquidation or dissolution, the corporation, whether voluntary or involuntary, no director, private individual, or corporation shall be entitled to any distribution or division of the corporation's remaining assets or proceeds, except as provided by law. Upon the winding up and dissolution of this corporation, the remaining assets shall be distributed to a nonprofit fund, foundation, or corporation which is organized and operated exclusively for charitable, educational, religious, and or scientific purposes, and which has been established its tax exempt status under the section 501c3 of the code and shall be distributed to the federal government or to the state and local governments for public purpose, and it goes on. So the town is in last place if, for any reason, none of the 501c3.
I think it's or.
and. And
Well,
the
it's-
most likely or is the,
Well,
I think the key words are remaining assets.
yeah.
$40
so
million
Town gets
building.
its piece before it gets liquidated.
Only if there's a lien on it and the town hasn't taken the steps.
Yes, we
to
have.
prove it.
You have a lien.
This is a collateralized loan,
It is?
Yes.
collateralized by, first of all, the pledges that will be made.
That's only 1.6 million that's in the coffers.
No, they're gonna raise the money to pay for the overall project. So those pledges are collateral.
But you're assuming that. What I'm saying is, if
We-
a bank is giving the loan, it will be collateralized and with a lien on the property, would it not?
No, we have other collateral. You don't need to over collateralize it. We have the collateral of the pledges, just like they raised $30 million and we have those.
I understand, but there is an outstanding loan to the town.
And then we have the endowment that we added that because we did not want to be unsecured. We
The
don't
endowment is
need to
not-
over collateralize it.
Can't we not? I thought the town could not take liens on property.
Surely.
We can't do mortgages. That's why the construction loan has a negative. Yeah, actually, it's also in this documentation, a negative pledge with respect to the real estate. We can't legally lend on as a mortgage. So that's why we have a negative pledge. So
Uh,
they can't dispose of the assets.
The name of the town can go on the deed as an additional.
Cannot,
Why not?
because we legally cannot make mortgages as a municipality in Connecticut.
Well,
So
you
we-
don't have to make a mortgage.
Well, that's what you're just asking for. Can we have a lien on the real estate? We don't have a lien on the real estate. We have a negative pledge that they won't dispose it to others. So,
Um,
so that means if we ever had to realize, there's not, we're down to $2 million on what was a $40 million project.
Right.
So this is,
Yeah.
and we have real collateral.
We don't anticipate going bankrupt, put it that way.
I've been
Or-
saying, I've
or-
been saying for a while, if you guys go bankrupt, you're
Yeah.
probably our least
Yeah.
problem, the smallest problem this town has. I mean,
Right.
We're gonna have a lot of other issues we're gonna be worried about other than that. I mean,
And by the way, if they didn't run this library, we'd be running it like they do in New York State, right? We
well,
should,
we're Paying for it one way or the other.
2/3 of it paying for it, right? But we're very grateful for everything the library does.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
especially volunteers like Bob,
Yeah.
like you guys are volunteers. He's done an amazing job. So
yes, well done.
I need to just second that. I mean, thank everybody for all the scrutiny. It's all appropriate, but at the end of the day, you guys have performed a miracle here. I mean, you've raised $30 million that the taxpayers didn't have to fund, and you give us this gem. So thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, so I'd like to get just a show of hands that we want to move this. We understand the concept, but I guess just a straw poll to move this forward. So these guys,
Can't approve it. There's no reason why you can't approve it.
I mean, is
It hasn't
that,
been
are,
noticed.
well, do we need to be, I'm not comfortable with that. I think.
It has to
We
be
could.
noticed.
You mean the documents?
The documents,
Oh,
you're
that's
not
right.
approving
These
this,
These
these
documents need to be reviewed
Yes.
again. and
Yeah.
Fixed, so
Yeah.
you cannot
Yeah.
vote on these documents.
Right.
The concept, I think we're in agreement, but
Yeah.
not these documents.
Yeah, we can't vote on the documents. So wouldn't it be
Gonna get off
smarter,
the first-
it'd be smarter to do everything at once?
You, basically what you just want to.
Are we delay, if we don't approve it tonight, are we delaying it at all?
Possibly. That's what I'm saying. If we can find a way not to have to go through the November process, we will rely on tonight's approval.
But
We kind of like to step.
I agree.
Well, I mean,
I
and that's
agree
why I
with
asked the question before, Kevin. Either it's an appropriation or not. I mean, because we don't have it. Well, let me read this again, because
What?
it doesn't say that we're taking action either.
I also want to say, I don't think anything was scrutiny up here. I think it was all like validated information,
Yeah.
which you had an appropriate response, which is excellent. And that we want to utilize that as we support this initiative and continuing the library and moving things around. So I don't think anything was scrutiny. I think everyone up here is aligned in support, and we're very excited. We just want to do it the proper way.
What-
Yeah.
Right, but what was the actual what was the approval? The Board of Finance, what was the actual language?
But they have to approve it to move it on to you. They're making a recommendation.
Okay,
And-
so it was just a, okay,
But there is a revision coming up on some of them.
right, well, that's what they acknowledged in the recommendation. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, technically, it should be a pretty short discussion for the November meeting. It should just be, hey, we've talked about this at length. We've asked all the questions. We had these guys here tonight. It's just it's a process to be correct. But I'm more comfortable if we notice it, put get the ads going, whatever has to be done. And as Penny said, do it the right way. So I don't want to be known as like it's our last meeting. We're rushing something through here. So
I want to
I
make.
do
a
not
very-
want to leave that behind.
I think Penny makes a great point. The documents that were put forth and they say there's changes coming and we got to tighten it up a little bit. It'd be nice to approve the tightened up and appropriate documentation.
Thank you, Luke.
Just to be sure
Yeah.
that we receive the documents that have been updated before we present it for a vote.
How soon can we have those, you think?
Tonight.
Well, we have to determine what the interest rate is. There's some certain things that
Okay.
we're gonna have to be plugged in.
So
Time
there's
assigning.
there's motivation on your end
Yeah,
and
yeah.
our end to get this done.
I mean, they're 99.5% complete. And
Good.
I think the two attorneys just need to work out cross the Ts and dot the Is.
It's not major lifts. It's
No,
no.
there's no
This was in
substantial
support
structural
of, like,
changes.
hey, I don't want to say this is the complete when some of the numbers and dates and
Right.
things of that nature. I think it's a favorable interest rate, especially in today's environment. So
Yeah.
kudos to you. Okay. Yeah, just making sure that it's in support of, it's the making sure that the documentation represents exactly what's happening here.
We get that documentation in our packets prior to our other next meeting, so we will have it all in our.
Ready to go.
All right.
Hands.
And he just, that's the stamp right there.
All right. Are we good? Oh, Kim, one more.
In the breakdown of the charges, right? The breakdown of how
Correct.
you're planning it. And then I have one last question, nothing to do with not loving the library, is how do you plan to pay back the $7 million? The 5 million plus the 2 million, what's the plan on that?
Okay, we have a cash flow statement that we provided the town. And that outlines on a quarterly basis when we expect pledged receivables. And then we match that up against expenses coming in. And so the way the original document is structured is as of February, we'll start paying interest. And we take all our pledges that we receive money from and put it in a bank account that the town controls. And then going forward, we'll use all of our proceeds and pledges to pay current expenses. And when those are done, every bit of money that comes in goes to the town. So we'll pay down the interest first and then principal. And we would anticipate, there's probably another 3-year window on all the pledges. So by the end of 3 years from now, we'll be down to 0. And hopefully we can accelerate that. But so that's related to the main document,
And so to be
Yeah.
clear, all that money's been pledged, right? That 5 million has been pledged. People are already paying.
That I did not know.
and it's documented. Yeah.
So, yeah,
So the 5 million has been pledged?
Yeah, they're done.
part of the 30 million.
Right.
Okay, and what
All-
about the 2 million is owed?
So
Right.
the additional 2 million, we haven't borrowed it yet, and we're going to have to start a fundraising effort to pay that. And it depends on, obviously, we have to finish out the green and the current pledges and fundraising we're doing with the capital campaign first, which is designed, I think, at the end this year end. And then we'll move on to figure out how we're going to raise money for the legacy building. So one has to be sort of completed before the other one started.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim. And just to jump on what Tom said before, I mean, we've all been around New Canaan forever. And when you say in one sentence that one organization raised $30 million in one sentence, and you contemplate what that means. I mean, I know several different organizations that set out to raise $1 million, and it takes 5 years, and they sometimes they never get there. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable that a private organization raised that much money. It's incredible. So,
Necessary public function.
yeah, I mean, there's no other thing you can even compare it to in this town. There's nothing ever. So there you have it. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. Appreciate all you do.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, guys.
Do you have any care salaries?
Yep.
14.
There you go.
Almost.
Almost.
Almost there.
All right, moving on. Let's see. Next item up. We have a financial update. I guess we have Josh on somewhere. Josh, you out there?
Hey, thanks for
Hey,
having
Josh,
me.
how are you?
Pretty good.
Thanks for joining.
So on your tablets, you should have 3 files. The first being kind of a preliminary end of year for FY23, just the highlights. The second file being kind of the long form version of that. And the third being the kind of year to date for Q1 of FY24. So I'm going to share my screen and just kind of briefly go over the FY23 highlights, which, let's see. All right, hopefully this is mildly readable. All right, this is kind of just the, the end point of all of the tracking that we've done and all the trends that we've seen through FY23. So there shouldn't really be any surprises for the most part here. So we're ending FY23 with a total revenue of 159.4 million, which is 2.15% over what was budgeted. An keep in mind, all of the numbers in this are over what was budgeted for, or the delta from what was budgeted rather, or 2.15% or 3.35 million over what we had budgeted for the year. This is mainly due, the driving factors being the increases in interest income of 863,000 over what was budgeted due to higher interest rates and having a better analyzed cash flow, as well as having implemented ZBAs through our bank accounts, just having more money to invest. An increase in educational cost sharing grants, reimbursement of 107,000, and municipal revenue sharing of 178,000 over what was budgeted. Tax collections, we outperform our 98.5% collection rate, and that's to the tune of 2.06 million over what was budgeted, as well as general insurance member equity from our Kerma insurance of 121,000. Building permits were up 142,000 over what was budgeted, and we also kind of at the end of the year got for FEMA and COVID reimbursements for prior years of 385,000 and 343,000 respectively. These increases offset the lower conveyance fees and recording fees that were down 373,000 that we've been seeing kind of sloping back to what we've normally been averaging for conveyance fees, as well as receiving less for excess cost grants by 385,000. So that's kind of where we ended up on the revenue side of things. Any questions on those before I head down?
Any questions?
Nope.
I like the way you
So,
You guys look like you're watching football.
So on the expenditure side, we ended up under budget by about 0.5%, which is 830,000-ish. Debt service was down 226,000 because the town didn't go out to market in FY23. Board of Ed expects to come in at 581,000 in savings under what was budgeted. The insurance liability premiums were down by 129,000 of what was expected. And on more of a department level, Parks and Rec admin was under budget by about 217,000, and fire department was under by about 237,000 due to just various overtimes that were budgeted and some full-time salary savings on some lines. A few months ago, we had kind of projected that we would be 400,000 to the good on the expense side, and we ended up with the town side being about 311,000 what was under budgeted, and the Board of Ed being about 581,000 under. Some notable lines that had run over, some overtime lines, police needed to cover some open positions, and compounding with an unrealized budgeted salary savings of 142,000. Legal fees obviously ran over by 214,000 due to ongoing 830G and just kind of a lower overall budgeted number for that year. And so all in all, kind of, we had budgeted a 5.5 million drawdown on the general fund in FY23, and we expect it to be much closer to 1.25 million because of how those two net out the revenues and expenses.
Hey, Josh,
Any questions?
Josh, could you give us that debt service bullet again?
Sure. So we didn't go out to bond in FY23. So the 226,000, which I believe would have been an interest payment should we have gone out to bond in 23, was basically marked as a savings.
Thank you.
Yep. Any questions?
How does this compare with other years?
I think it's pretty on par with how we've been doing overall. You know, we expect to draw down something like 5, 5.5, 6, and then we end up drawing down about 1, 1.5, or 2. I think that's kind of been how we've been trending. So on to
I had a question. I don't know if.
Sure.
Sorry, and I think it's a good question, but and you may have said it, but the 581,000 that Board of Ed was was under. What was that driven by?
That is a good question. I don't actually have that answer for you. I'm sorry. I could look into that. I don't think I have the exact numbers from the Board of Ed. I don't know if Ann can speak to that.
They published a draft report.
Yeah, and saying they published a draft report and we can get a copy of that.
So if there aren't any other questions, I'll just give a very, very brief look at where we are after quarter one of FY24. Obviously, quarter one is a busy time for everyone. We're gearing up for the budget again. We have the audit that's kind of ramping up as well. So we're, rushing to get as much stuff in for quarter one as possible. Right now we're at 52%, 52.3% of our total revenues, 54.8% of what was budgeted for tax collections. And just, to briefly say, that's kind of outpacing for tax collections where we were last year by about 1.75% of collections. And in an overall sense, it's outpacing revenue by about 2.25% of where we were last year. It's probably a little too soon to really draw any trends on specific lines, other than to say that, interest is really coming on strong. And I think we have something around like 600, 700,000 right now. If I were to run this report again today. And on the expense side of things, nothing really is outstanding at the moment. We're, on budget, at least as far as most things are concerned, I think. Any questions on FY24?
Any questions?
I have a general question, Josh, and I don't know if you can answer it right now, but could you give us an estimate or report on the estimated budget versus the actual budget spent per department?
For each department?
Yes.
So the estimated budget versus what was actually spent by departments. So if you look at the long form version for the June 30th FY23, there is an expense by departments, and you'll be able to see kind of the original budget, the original appropriation, and the year-to-date expended of where that ended up. That ignores any of the transfers that were done, which then changes it to the revised budget. So if you look at those two numbers, you'll be able to see kind of how each department really performs.
Thank you.
Yep. And that's all I have for you.
Hey, Josh, one of the things that happened at the Board of Finance meeting, which was really good news, was Andrew Brooks reviewed some of the interest coming in our way. And you and Ann were there, and some of the good news that's happening there. Can you just summarize that? Andrew was going to be here tonight, but he had a conflict. Otherwise, he would have come and did his presentation. But I thought it was really some good news. It'd be nice to hear it again. Just 2 minutes.
Sure. Well, I can't really speak to the specifics of what the actual interest rates that he's getting are. I know that we've been able to invest a lot more money, around $20 million more, just due to a tighter cash flow model, and due to the fact that we have all of our bank accounts running through a ZBA structure in order to just have money available when it's needed, but have money readily investable also, just to kind of have a clearer picture of where things go. I mean, obviously right now, I think interest rates are high in general in the market. So we're kind of benefiting from both sides of those.
Yeah, the report was very encouraging. It sounded like we were going to be tracking pretty nicely for the year. So that was good news.
I think so. I think that's the plan. I think we had budgeted, I'd have to look exactly, but something to the tune of 900,000, if my memory is correct, for FY24. But we're almost at that mark. We'll probably hit that mark, let's say it's after 6 months or so. So that'll hopefully be one of the driving factors of over budget or outdoing our budget for revenue in FY24. Let's hope.
Very great.
Should be double that next year.
Yeah, well,
Will.
that's what the Board of Finance was pretty excited about it. So they were already figuring on that savings. All right. Thank you very much, Josh. Have a good night.
Yeah. Thank you.
Tucker needs you.
Josh, you have to
I
stay.
just emailed you a document. They're having troubles with their tablets. If you could share what I just emailed you, please.
Sure. That'll take me a minute, but I'll put it on the screen.
Some of you are having trouble with your tablets.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely need an update.
How do we get it corrected?
You open them up before 4 o'clock on the day of the meeting. Quite honestly, I mean,
Really?
I'm not sure that's the case with you, but I got more requests at 4 o'clock this afternoon saying that your tablets were not working. So in the future, if we could get that information the day before, it would be helpful. Most of the time it's due to updates.
So it's nothing that we have to do.
No, you will have to do an update on your device.
I just did, and
Well, I've been talking to IT all night, but it's hard to do it on the fly. So if anybody wants to leave me with your tablets, I can get IT to take it. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way, but just everything was coming at me right before the meeting and I'm not IT.
Some of these machines are definitely older too.
I was trying, but,
All right.
yep.
So
ARPA?
item number 7,
Yes.
American Recovery Plan Act, or ARPA. It's an update on the status of the ARPA funds. And Ann and Tucker have been kind enough to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think this was a request at your last meeting that we provide an update for you. The last time we were here was in March, where we gave you an update. Nothing has changed since then. Just give you some quick highlights. The original allocation was for $5,987,968. We have committed $5,240,334. And there you go. Josh is pulling it up there. You can scroll up a little bit, Josh, to the bottom. So you'll see that basically the remaining allocation is $747,634. However, and this has not changed either, 300,000 of that 747 has been approved by the Board of Selectmen for a project that is still in the process of being fully approved. So if that project moves forward, our remaining allocation is $447,000 still to be committed, and we have until December 2024 to commit it, not to spend it, to decide how we're going to use those funds. Do you have anything more?
To date, I'll just say to date, we've spent just over $2.8 million of it.
Because certain items on here have not been paid out in full, like the modernization of the equipment in here. We're in process of doing that. So when those funds are needed, that's when we pay them out.
So is there a balance yet to be allocated?
400.
400.
It's it's 747. It's 447 because we're assuming that $300,000 project will move forward.
Allocated, it goes back to the general fund. Could have taken
I'm for that.
at least half of it.
It's probably what will happen.
When, will we know about this project?
Yeah.
What project?
The
347.
$300,000.
Oh, it's on there.
Is there?
It's on for your further study. It's on the matrix. It's
Okay.
Mead Park Flexi Pave project.
Oh, got it.
Yep,
Okay.
it's right there.
Tino has her hand up.
What is it again? I can't hear. I can't see. And
Mead Park Flexi Pave project. Remember the ARPA funds were really to address COVID, COVID situations, and the parks were something that we felt we
Okay.
should really spend some
thank
money
you.
on.
I couldn't see it.
And
Yeah.
is that around the pond? Is that planned?
Yeah.
Or like
That's it.
around the pond for
The route is
Veterans
what's, I think,
Walker?
in question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Did Tiger work it out with the neighbors? Wasn't
That's what they're working
They're
through
still
right
working.
now. Yep.
There's a couple of Gold Star trees, I guess, that are affected or something. So working through that.
Did somebody have their question?
Yeah, Rita, you out there?
Hello, yes, I'm here. So you may get to this, and so I kind of put my hand up early. But in terms of what is remaining aside from this $300,000 project, are there other requests sort of in the pipeline, or are we going to be taking new requests for ARPA funds?
To be determined. There, as you know, there is a committee of the members of the town council and the Board of Finance who meet on this, but the Board of Selectmen initiate the project. So I'm not aware of any projects at this point in time.
Not aware that any further requests will be made.
But it
Yes.
needs to be used by when?
Well, committed by December
Committed.
2024.
Okay, so the town
Yeah.
player, since it's been committed, even if they don't use it in
It's
time,
been
that's fine.
approved. Right. These would be for new projects.
Right,
So
so
the-
yeah, I guess my question is just, are there already other requests in the pipeline already that kind of would cover that remaining amount? Or are we
No.
going to be taking new requests?
There are no.
That was the
projects at
question.
this time. None at this time.
None.
So there's money that can be spent, but we don't have any requests for that money.
Correct.
And
Okay.
Rita, you did hear that an option is to put it back into the general fund as well. So that
Right.
the remainder can go back in. And, I think there'd be some support for, if we've gone this long, and we haven't spent it, it's probably a logical place to put it. It benefits everybody. So,
Well, I think
Yeah,
it's-
one thought though I had, just because if this, I know COVID's over now, but I almost feel like, do we need to invest in preparing for if something like this happens again, right? One thought would be make sure we're really well positioned to handle, something like this again, and making sure we're invested in our, health and human services or that sort of approach. Just something to think about.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say that rather than go into the general fund, which will just get lost, to earmark it for a special project, whether it's open space or something else that would benefit the community.
Can I add something?
Yeah, that's, well, certainly our open space was used during COVID. So, all right. Maria, you have your hand raised?
Yeah, I just put it up. Well, I know St. A's withdrew their request and they're not doing the bigger school, but they're still building a preschool. And the state just changed the age for when children can enter kindergarten. So I really do think the need for preschools is there and will only grow, especially with that age change. So just saying, if the committee or the Board of Selectmen would like to reconsider, maybe go back to St. A's and, help with the preschool, which would help everyone, that would be my suggestion.
Maria, what is the age change?
Well, the date was December 31st and they moved it to September 1st.
To start
So-
kindergarten.
To start kindergarten. So now that's kids that will now no longer be able to go to kindergarten in September. I mean, those birthdays from September to December. So there will be a need for preschool because my child went to school, she's a December birthday. With this new law, she wouldn't have been allowed to, even though I felt she was ready. And I'm sure other people would be in the same boat. So that date itself, that one change will definitely have an impact on the need for preschool.
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea actually to reach out to all the preschools in town and tell them that these funds remain unallocated, and understanding that there might be a need. I wouldn't limit it to one preschool. I think that's.
Doing project, so that's why it worked out for them to request it, because that was part of the thing too. Not operating costs, it was.
It's not COVID related.
That's the whole
It's
point.
not COVID
That's the whole
related,
point.
which
I
makes it
think
hard.
that's where we ultimately came out on St. A's. It wasn't COVID related. So.
Yeah, I think that's.
Well, No, people were going back to work and there was a need. I mean, early care is always a need.
But it's not
It
daycare.
was defined in ARPA in the description, childcare. So it very much qualified.
I think
the-
school and child.
The hours were not qualifying for daycare. The hours were like 9 to 3 or something. Didn't.
But
I think they really gave it a run, but I
it
mean,
was a project. That was what the purpose of the funds were. They were supposed to go.
Maria, you're saying because of the age change, that's why it would be a new, you want to reintroduce based on that?
Well, the fact that the demand will be even more, and
Okay.
they're undergoing a capital project, so
Yeah.
it's combined. But sure, offer it to, I mean, I think any school should, you know, that would benefit everyone if every school had a need and they could demonstrate it.
Just,
Hand up.
Mark.
just reflecting on things that we did and accomplishments, I recall the Silver Hill Hospital Behavioral Health Assessment Service. That money, I think, was money well allocated. And then also the New Canaan Community Foundation partnership, that was very successful. And a shout out, because I do believe they started a behavioral health fund at the New Canaan
Yes.
Community Foundation. So just to tie them all together, just a shout out to the Community Foundation for starting that.
I don't even think it's a bad idea to let the community know that there are these unallocated funds in case there are,
Outstanding.
if there is something outstanding, particularly in the mental health field. I know somebody I know who's a pediatric social worker, just started a new practice. And the demands for pediatric care, as you guys know, have skyrocketed. So I don't know that people know that there's still unallocated funds. So
That's
I
a
don't,
great point.
I don't think it's a bad idea before we put it back in the general fund, which reasonable minds could argue is bigger than we need. And that's taxpayer money that we could, that, there should be a reach out to the community.
But we
Before
should,
it-
yeah, we should notice it and then have it.
Sure. No, that's what I mean
responsibility.
publicly, to whoever thinks that they qualify, here are the requirements, and if, make your case, but it has to be allocated by this date. And
Rita
I
has
think
her
that would be
hand up.
helpful.
Thank you, Hillary. Rita.
Yeah, I mean, similar to what Hillary, what you said is pretty much what I was thinking. It sounds like there are a lot of really promising and interesting ideas that could be used for the money. So I agree with what Hillary said, and I just want to make sure that we, and not that we didn't do this before, but similar to that little sheet that I had put together last year, it would be great to say, hey, this is how we're going to be evaluating things. And we'd love to hear your ideas. And then obviously there's that committee that can help us make the decision. But I do like the idea of letting folks know that this money is potentially available, and how we would be evaluating the need.
Thank you. All right.
Question, actually.
Oh, Robin.
Probably for the committee members, but when this money was given and it's for a certain project, does are receipts given? Do you know that it's going to where it's supposed to be going? How did that work?
They report back.
They do report back. Okay. So do they show financials? Do they show?
No, it depends on the amount of the amount that was allocated, but we get, I think it was the 6-month mark or whatever, after the money had been allocated, we get reports back from them, which is could just be a narrative, just telling us how they spent the funds, which is how they had presented them.
Oh, okay. So it doesn't have to be receipts. It doesn't have to be just narrative.
It's the unfortunate part of when they doled out all this money. There wasn't a whole lot of accountability.
Yeah, I think if
But
you
that
look,
is
at-
another conversation. not
yeah,
for this
I mean,
body.
I think we should be very proud of the process
Yes.
and the
Yeah,
process, and
results
also
too.
where we came.
I think we tackled everything that the major issues that we identified, which,
I mean, the diligence.
and if we
of-
get
the
it 90%
diligence-
right, then I think that, or 80% right, I think we did a good job.
You look at that list and you see how broadly that money was spent and where it went. I mean, that, everybody should be proud of that. I really think that was a very good use of those funds. So, and the fact that we have a little bit left and we're still talking about it is amazing, because most towns will blast right through it. And we were very, very,
Yeah, well, if it goes in the general fund and earns some interest, it's not a bad thing.
yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll stay here for your.
You want
next
to take that off? There we
Thank
go.
you, Josh.
All right,
You're
item
welcome.
number 8 was the audit committee appointment. We are going to skip that. I just want to take a second. I did talk to Roy for about an hour within the last 48 hours. So I was surprised that Christina withdrew the motion, but he's obviously disappointed after talking to him. But you can't lose sight of the fact that he has been a volunteer in this town. I want to mention that, and the fact that he's worked for CERT for years. He's been a resident for 26 years. So, when you talk to Roy, he really has put his heart into New Canaan, and he believes in the town and everything that goes on here. So I just want to mention that and thank him for the service that he's given the town. And, you know, on a personal note, when this first vote happened, I think I was partially to blame for his outburst because before the meeting started, you know, I said hello to him, I shook his hand, and I think he was assuming that everything was going well. And when the votes didn't go his way, that's when things happened. So it was probably my signaling early on that caused that little outburst. So I just want to say that certainly wasn't my intention to do that, but hopefully we'll move on from here. We'll put it in a rearview mirror. And, you know, again, I can't thank Roy enough for all the volunteer work he's done in town. And I want to thank his wife too. Jan is a lovely, lovely person. And I've worked with her for many years on the RTC, and she's done a lot of work in town as well. So thank you for that. All right, moving on. Meeting schedule, item number 9, Tucker.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. I need to get this approved so that I can put the budget schedule together. I will take the fall for any of you that want to do Valentine's Day with your family. It was just so hard. I was told no Valentine's Day, no St. Patrick's Day, no this, no that. And unfortunately, I couldn't get away from Valentine's Day. So maybe we'll make it
But not St. Patrick's Day.
no, that's a Sunday, I think. So I think we're okay because I think it's on a Sunday.
Just to be clear.
But yeah, let's not do that.
Right, because you try to take in school breaks and things like that all into account. So anyway, this is the proposed schedule.
So are we doing Valentine's Day?
I'm sorry.
It's overrated.
It's a Hallmark holiday.
I'll bring you all chocolates.
Move on.
It's overrated.
You need a vote.
I do, please.
Yeah, so in motion to
So moved.
Tom, second,
Second.
Christina, all in favor? And that's unanimous. The schedule is set. Thank you, Tucker. Thanks for putting that together. All right, item number 10, committee reports, updates from our committees, anything from bylaws and ordinances. Tom, Hillary.
Nothing going on bylaws and ordinances right now.
All right, education, Tom and Rita. Rita, out there?
Rita, you have anything?
You muted.
Muted.
Sorry. Tom, did you want to give just an update on latest meetings or?
Well, I would just comment that at the last meeting, and now I drew a blank.
Well, there are two big things, yeah.
I'm not prepared.
The portrait of a student, right?
Well, no, there's
We're 2
there's a-
meetings into a 4-meeting project. And it's an amazing project. There are 120 people involved from all areas of education, teachers, administrators, town representatives, students. The one observation that I made in retrospect after the second meeting is that I realized that the trend is to point out certain competencies that are critical, and civic literacy didn't make hardly anybody's list, which watching the news recently, I really wish that, I hope we can turn that around, give that more attention. One of the things that happened at the recent board meeting is that there was a presentation of standardized test scores. And certainly there still is a remnant COVID gap. Certain students that were at critical years, kindergarten, first grade, when COVID was hit, have a remnant impact relative to children in other grades. So there's a lot of focus on how to remedy that. But overall, our ranking against competing districts in our DIRG continues to be phenomenal and statewide. So we're doing very well, but there are identified deficits still from COVID.
Yeah, I would say the biggest deficit that they saw was third grade. It was the third graders were really where they honed in. I think the other gaps were kind of explainable with different, special needs cohorts, or they were a little bit more, straightforward. But it was clear that third grade, there was a gap, and they're laser focused on trying to close those gaps. So that was, I think that was one of the, the next steps. They also, I don't know if Tom, you saw, and I'm out of breath, sorry, I just came in from the parking lot. The other thing I thought was really important that we are aware of is they did an assessment of all of the buildings. So they had an engineering firm come in and evaluate all of the HVAC and the conditions of the surrounding roads and the buildings. And they need to put a plan in place over the next 3 to 5 years. There will be some major overhauls we're gonna have to do, specifically with HVAC equipment, or at least start to put plans into place. So that's just something I think we should just be aware of in terms of, capital projects that might be coming up.
Yeah, there's some daunting numbers in there.
Yeah.
2/3 of which relate to mechanical, so HVAC.
Yeah, yeah.
But it will be phased out, but I mean, that the needs inherent in having that many buildings with that many square feet.
Yeah.
It's not surprising, but they're big numbers.
Well, and I guess what was encouraging to hear them say is that they complimented the way we were maintaining the buildings, and they were saying this some of the best they've ever seen, like how well we're investing in the maintenance, which is gonna, yield dividends in terms of what we don't have to do. So that was good to hear.
Was
Oh,
there,
and the high school had very low. So
Very low, almost nothing.
With that point, there were big numbers in some of the other schools, particularly elementary
Sacks.
schools, but the high school had very low capital needs on the horizon.
Right?
Yeah.
was their report only for 5 years or the upcoming 5 years?
No, well, what they were saying is they actually gave priority, like priority 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so so there were things that are going to have to be dealt with, but they don't have to be dealt with right away. So for instance, with mechanicals, which was Tom had referred to, what he was saying is that you don't need to worry about it now. You don't need to worry about it next year, but at year 3, you better start planning for capital expenditures the next couple of years. So it's just to, we have to stay ahead of it and understand the expenses that are going to be coming down the pike. And then there are some other, those are the mechanicals, those are the big costs. Then there are other priority 1 costs that we will be seeing in short order. Those aren't as large expenditures as the mechanicals are.
The reason why I asked is because when we did the analysis of the town buildings,
Mhm.
we did a 25-year life cycle analysis, and that is what is being utilized as we each year figure our budgets. Some of the issues that were identified as maybe year 7 or
Mhm.
9 or whatever get moved up or moved back depending upon whether or not, as operations proceed, maybe the furnace doesn't have to be out, replaced this year, but could replace, next year, whatever.
Right.
But we really have done a full analysis of our 56, 57, however many we've got now, buildings for 25 years. And I was hoping that the Board of Ed would have done a similar thing so that we know when we've got roofs, we've got furnaces, big things that occur in all of the buildings. So
Yeah, and the analysis covered all of that. So, I mean, I'm probably not doing it justice. And we can ask the Board of Education to come back and let us know what that analysis, how that impacts our budgets over the next, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years, 20, if that is what you're asking for, but we can ask that question. Well, I guess what I'm saying is they're doing the work, they're doing the due diligence. And I think they're getting prepared to be able to answer those questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita.
Something?
Oh, sorry. In terms of civic literacy, I just wanted to let people know that civics is required for someone to be able to graduate from New Canaan High School. And if you don't take civics, you can take AP Gov. But I think that is a huge priority. And then the other thing I just wanted to address is what Rita was talking about with the test scores and the COVID learning loss. There are definitely trends, but one of the things that I've heard parents ask for, and maybe you could pass this on, is some kind of digitized, personalized learning program for kids that are getting 1s and 2s on the SBAC, regardless of the year, because especially if a child's trending downward. So I think that there's been a huge gap for if you look at it on an individual basis. And I think now with digitized learning, there's a way to highlight and capture those students and address those issues, whether it's through personalized learning, online learning, something they can do after school, instead of doing it only as a grade-wide kind of impact.
So no, I guess they are looking at children individually, just to be sure, because I mean, I can tell you from my own experience, they are looking at children individually. And if kids are getting a 1 or 2. The parents are being notified, and there are plans being put into place. I hope I didn't make you think that there weren't. This was just, trends. They were just showing trends, cohorts, what's happening as a whole by grade, but that doesn't mean they're not addressing the individual student. I hope I didn't communicate that, because that's not what's happening.
What are they doing for the individual student? Do you know?
I don't know the exact, plans for each student. I know that they pointed out that teachers identify the 1s and the 2s, and that they put a plan in place with parents. So they specifically mentioned that they do that. So if we wanted more information, I'm sure we could reach out and ask, but it is happening. They are, in their own words, they are addressing it. So if we wanted to get more information, I'm sure we could reach out and ask.
Thanks, Rita.
Great, thank you, Rita.
Maria, did you have a question? Was your hand up?
No, I was just gonna add to what Rita was saying about the HVAC. I don't think it was a matter of, this is my understanding. It's not a matter of things not being maintained. I think the state may have more strict requirements that may impact what the schools have to do with the HVAC.
Got it. Okay.
That was part of it. Yeah, that was part of it.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Finance and government. Mark, Maria, anything there?
No updates.
All right, health and human services. Kim, Penny.
I'm just going to add one quick thing. OpenGov is starting on Jen Ilson has been part of a pilot project to do OpenGov. So we're moving into the 21st century with the ability for vendors and restaurants and people getting permits to go online to get their permits, as well as pay online. And that's now extending to health and human services, or human services, where if you want to make a donation for someone for fuel efficiency or whatever you want to donate to human services, is now going to be available online as well. So that's a huge advancement for us moving into the 21st century. And I'm hoping that that also can extend to the Board of Ed, which I've asked numerous times, can the Board of Ed start an OpenGov system so that we can see all of the expenditures down to the details that are included. So it's possible. Darien does it. Sorry to mention their name, but we could do it too and extend it even farther.
Thank you, Kim. Good points, especially about the Jen. I know is very excited about that. Her new program. Penny, anything else, Dad? I know we had, we talked about the RFP for Vine, so that's coming down the pike. So we'll be ready for that. Infrastructure and utilities, Christina, Penny, anything there?
No, I don't have any updates as of yet, but I do want to make a comment. At the last meeting, we requested a couple of documents from different groups, and one of them was regarding the theater, that we wanted to get some sort of schedule on the monies that were contracted, as well as the project schedule and when it would be completed by. And I believe that Tiger said that he would get it to us, but it hasn't been submitted, and an email went out to him. I haven't gotten it, but I wanted to make sure that those things were included in the minutes. When we ask for documents or backup, it should just be included for the record.
Okay. Talking to Joe, was Joe getting that out?
Oh, Joe got me. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
But it had nothing to do with the theater.
Oh. Well, you guys are paving a lot of roads, that's for sure. There's roads all over the place being paved, so hopefully you get them done before the winter. All right, land use and rec, conservation, Robin, anything?
Better.
I'll start with conservation first. Just the big thing is what they discussed is the POCD meeting, which is October 26th at Lapham. I think it's the only meeting with the consultants that's open to the public. It is, the plan of development and conservation, hoping conservation's more sustainability. So they're asking people to go to that.
So that's at Lapham.
That's at Lapham. It's between 6 and 9 p.m. There was a survey that was sent out.
Right.
It's already closed for residents. And I think Tucker was at about 0.25%.
2,300, 2,300 responses.
That's amazing.
That's great.
Right.
That's engaged.
But this is the only open to the public with the consultants there, right? There'll be other.
There'll be other engagement. This is more of an open house. You can just show up. You don't have to come. Right. They're going to be breakouts, so you can just come and go to which parts that you want.
Okay. But it's the only one with the consultants who are drafting it up, right? For the public?
There might be another
one. Okay.
So that's a good one to attend. If anybody, if anyone is available, walking through there on the 26th, that's that'll be very good to attend that meeting. So then hopefully we can all make it. Christina.
Robin, but the POCD meetings are open to the public.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this one is, but what was thought was that this was the only one open to the public with the consultants who are drafting it up there.
Got it.
And that's at Lapham.
Anything else?
Oh, well, we know that Kathleen Carber's was canceled today because of the fields. There was a question brought up about what's being done with Irwin. It was said that it was just storage and a couple nonprofits in there. I think there's only one. I think it's just New Canaan Cares, which was put in there before the town council ordinance. Which also Kevin left, but there was a lease signed with the YMCA on Kiwanis for 20 years, 24, 25, 26, but I don't know if there were any changes made to the lease. That's why I could go through. Yep, and so that was really it. Yep,
So it's just an extension of the,
the lease hasn't changed, so it doesn't have to come to us. That's it.
that's it. Oh, short and sweet. All right. Public safety. Rita, Mike.
Nothing for police on fire, just they're having their October Breast Cancer Awareness Month and they're selling t-shirts. So if anyone wants, go on down, you can purchase right from the firehouse. That's it.
That's great, Mike. And I know the project,
Hey,
the police project's going pretty well. I mean, they're moving in there and
Oh,
yeah,
yes, no,
yeah.
it's a top flight operation with all the people involved. Turner's moving forward. The GMP getting settled, that issue and being approved kind of unlocked a lot of kinetic energy right now. So we're moving quickly.
awesome. Thank you. Rita.
I was just going to say, Mike, you're being a little modest. What about the combine? You might want to say a couple words about the combine. Mike was actually participating in the combine, and I was a witness to your agility and athletic ability.
Yeah, thanks, Reed. I didn't think I was going to make it. Energy drink. I only had 2 espresso in the morning, a lot of ice packs and Advil in the evening. So thanks for saying.
It was a great event, I have to say. The whole community came out. It was a beautiful day, and I think it was New Canaan at its best.
Yeah, it really was. We actually got to see Mike throw a football several times. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, not pretty, but
Got a video.
I can still.
I do have a video of that if anybody wants to see it. So, all right, moving on. New Canaan Library. So, you heard about the project tonight, so we don't have to get into that. Obviously, you can drive by and see what's going on. The one thing I wanted to mention was I did reach out to both Mark DeWhaley and Doug Stewart about their experience so far on the board, and both of them were very complimentary. Doug actually said he's enjoying serving on the board, and it's a great team. And it's an absolute pleasure to be there. And Mark, I've talked to about it as well. And they're both very engaged on that board. So it'll be nice to have them reporting in to us a couple times a year. So as requested.
I'd like to get ahead of Steve for once.
Uh-oh.
I really try. And let me tell you, he beats me every time. I'm sitting here next to somebody who always has a notepad of notes and prep for what your comments are going to be to us, right?
Yes, I do. You know me well, but been in this game too long.
No, never too long. So I thought I might just try to get ahead of you tonight. And as this is the last meeting for 3 of our esteemed close friends, shall I say, as well as fellow town council people. I knew you were going to have a list of comments, and I'd like to just start off with thanks to all of you who have been serving with us, and we're kind of a nice team. You're going to be missed. But I know that the commitment to the community is going to continue. You in particular are going to be on our Board of Selectmen and know that we will be enjoying a very positive relationship with the Board of Selectmen and the Town Council, because you're going to make sure that it happens, right? One of the things that you have always tried to do in the council is respect each and every one of us. Give us time to express ourselves, sometimes more energetically than you would want to have to manage, but you have done so. You've tried your darndest to keep our meetings on time according to agenda. Ordinances, you don't add one unless you subtract one, right? So along with this multiple comments that you're going to have on that piece of paper, I'd like just to invite all of the council members to add to what have been on our list, each item by item, because we're going to do it as a team. So
Thank you, Patty.
have at it.
I'm happy to step up. I've always appreciated Steve's equanimity in handling our meetings. A lot of competing ideas, concepts, and personalities. And I think your personality has been well suited and it served the council well and the town very well. And personally, you've been a tremendous advocate of mine, and I wouldn't even be sitting here if it wasn't for you. But the town has been incredibly well served at all of your entire tenure on town council, not just as chairman. Always a thoughtful, deliberative process, willing to change your mind after weighing all the different variables and considerations and arguments. So a great model for all of us. And also your personal charisma and integrity and just ability to create a relationship with people, I think is a real hallmark of your character. And it's just been absolutely a fantastic benefit for the town and for me personally. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. That was really nice.
Big shoes to fill. Having been new to this, you were a beacon and accepting and really set the gold standard, Steve. And I'm still trying to navigate and figure out the best value add that I can be for the town and the community. And like I said, you set the benchmark as to really the fabric of the town and being part of it. Family, company, everything you do just really sets the bar to this is what I aspire to be. And then hopefully one day everyone in the town can give back even a fraction of what you've done. So I'm very fortunate to even be part of this council. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
I better volunteer because everybody's saying the stuff I was gonna say.
Listen, everybody doesn't have to speak.
Smart.
Let's go on to
Robin
Robin
and
and Mark.
I can do Rob
Yeah,
and Mark.
yeah, let's do Robin and Mark.
Well, do you want to go, Tom?
Well, it just,
Age before people?
Steve, yeah. Steve is a legend, and I came to in New Canaan, as Luke said, and it's been a thrill to discover exactly why, in terms of town council, the dedication and the time. I mean, coming to every committee meeting that he possibly could, sitting in on Board of Finance meetings. It's the dedication and commitment to New Canaan is just phenomenal. Not excelled by anybody, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciated the time to sort of enhance my friendship with Steve. I really have appreciated working with him.
Thank you, Tom.
I thought we were going this way.
Mark, nice. No, jump in there.
I was going to wait for Christina. No, but Steve, the phrase, think globally and act locally. I think you sort of embody, that you do more for this town than most. It takes people like you who give up their time, endless hours. I see it firsthand as chair of this council. Your lovely wife, we have to thank you for allowing him, and you also are committed to this town, your whole family. You're a blessing to New Canaan. You are respectful of everyone, the process. You're accessible, forthright, and you have character, and that's what this town deserves. And everyone should aspire to be like you, Steve. So
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Really, really nice. Thank you so much.
We have two hands up in Zoom.
Oh, geez. Come on.
Hey, look, there's 12 of us, right? You're gonna have 11 of them.
I have to call on these people too. All right.
I'll call on them. Rita.
Oh, gosh, this is hard. First of all, I echo what everyone has said. You've stolen everything I wanted to say, except for one thing. Steve, what I love about you is that you're just a kind, authentic, and genuine person. And I've just really enjoyed getting to know you and to work with you. And that's really special. And so thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you very much.
So I just want to add to what everyone else has said, and I just want to say, Steve, you handle everything with such grace and humor, and it's sometimes like herding cats, and you handle it very, very well. And I wish you all the best. And the best part about this is that we still get to work with you. And I want to thank Tracy too for sharing you with the town. We all appreciate it.
Thank you, Maria. Feelings mutual. Absolutely.
I'd like to invite everyone to Thanksgiving dinner because I'd like you guys to do this for me too. No. You guys are a great group. So I'd like to just add and also mention Mark and Robin. So Steve, your sense of humor has been great, especially for a newbie, and also your patience at onboarding us. And I want to say that to everyone, to Robin and to Mark. You guys have been really respectful of us getting up to speed and learning new things and creating a really nice environment for people to feel included, stemming from Steve's lead on that. But so I just want to say thank you for all that, and you'll be very missed.
Thank you.
So I met Robin shortly after I started going to the advertiser coffees, and I had posted something in New Canaan Moms about how I was collecting items for a family that had relocated to Stamford. They had been separated at the border. It was a father and his young son. I think his son was 3 or 4, didn't speak a lick of English, but I was collecting all these items. She said, how are you going to get these to them? And I said, or she came up to me after the coffee and I was like, I haven't thought of that yet. I'm probably just going to have to hire I don't know, like get a high school kid to do it. And she said, no, my husband and I will do it. And we had not yet spoken, and it was the summer. And they took a Saturday to accompany me and my kids to deliver all of these, a truckload of items for this family. They had been sleeping on the floor of a basement apartment in Stamford, and she helped us with the mattress and box spring and so that's just Robin. She's incredibly generous with her time and her resources.
Probably wasn't the safest.
No, it was not. It was like, we got there, we were like, bad idea, bad. But no, it was great. And Carl is such a good guy. He got down and he said, I just want this child to see a man who's not like threatening and overwhelming in this country. So your family, I just adore. And you're probably the reason why I initially jumped into this game. So you guys can blame her for any of that. And Mark, you've been super generous since I called you that first time to tell you I was thinking of running for town council. You always give me your time and your ear, and you let me, bounce stuff off of you, and you've just been an incredible resource. And I thank you and Steve particularly for getting the library really off the ground. I think that is such an asset to our town, and both of you showed great leadership in shepherding that project. And Steve, you're not getting rid of me because I lease a car from you, so I'm sure I'll be thinking, my lease is actually up in like 2 weeks, which I woke up at 3 a.m. and realized the other day. But I don't even know what to say. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you over the last couple of years, and I'm really sad that you're not going to be here on our monthly meetings, because it's just been an absolute pleasure working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Is there any parting gifts of like special offers on the leases? I mean, we've been talking about this, Steve.
That's tough. I had a couple words for Robin.
Here goes the pad.
So I got the pad going. Yeah. And this is very unorganized. So, but Robin,
I doubt that.
Robin is incredibly quiet at times, but she's always calm and she's a great listener. She's a consensus builder. She's task oriented. She's such a hard worker, and she's so good with these committee reports. I mean, how many times have we had, hey, we have our committee reports, and Robin is like, bang, 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 bang. I mean, the best committee reports by far. So she's a steward of our parks. She's a steward of our environment. She's started the New Canaan, basically put New Canaan on the map as far as the state goes with its conservation and caring about your town, and formed Planet New Canaan. So all of which, while serving on the council, which is absolutely amazing. She's a huge help to me personally when we did bylaws and ordinance together. And I really can't say enough about Robin. She is a gem of New Canaan. She's involved in staying put. I mean, wherever you look, Robin's there. So Robin, thank you. Thank you from me, and thank you from New Canaan. Amazing. Thank you very much.
I got to say about Robin that there are 30 people in this town that are absolutely critical to the success of the town. Without any one of those 30 people, it would fall apart. And Robin is one of those people. You say she's never bothered. I'm close enough to know that on occasion, she gets a little frustrated, but doesn't say anything, doesn't complain. But she's listening every second, taking fastidious notes, and it's a joy. And I'm really depressed that you're not going to be around anymore.
Well, I just, Steve, I want to really thank you because you've been a great mentor for these 4 years. And also, I just want to say to all the candidates who are running, the Cam Hutchins Garden planting is going to be this Sunday between 2 and 5. And if you want your pictures taken,
Good spot.
come on down to Bristol and we'll start planting. But no, thank you so much, Steve. It's been great.
Yes, thank you. And now the man on my left. There's been many chairmen before me, but none have been as fortunate to have two vice chairs as capable and helpful as Penny and Mark. Mark in particular is leaving, so I want to publicly thank him for his kindness, his steady demeanor, and his steadfast loyalty. Mark is easily one of the smartest guys in the room, but he never has to be the smartest guy in the room.
I'm probably not, but
No, you are. His financial acumen is outstanding, and his work the past couple of years heading up the ARPA committee and all it took to make that work, and we saw that tonight. He's been a rock for the town council. That's all you can say. The guy is a rock, and he's been a rock star for me. Without him, I don't know, we would have gone off the charts so many times. I can't tell you, but he's the definition of a leader who works well with everyone, and he has no political agenda. He just wants to make New Canaan great. And that's what makes you great. Thank you, man.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Steve, I want to thank you. I think I already did, but I just want to say to everyone that, I appreciate your service to this town. It's been a pleasure working with every single one of you. I have the utmost respect for all of you for stepping up. The reason I did this 4 years ago was to just give back, because I didn't feel I was giving back enough. And I think everyone should. And I think everyone in this town should understand the hard work that everyone does. Takes time out of their day. It gets crazy during budget season. It's been a privilege working with everyone. I'm going to miss a lot. I'm going to miss my texts with Rita and Hillary and Robin and trying to corral everyone. And I'm going to miss the spirited debates that we have. I'm going to miss Penny and Steve's leadership. I'm going to miss the banter during the meetings. It's not perfect, but I think we've accomplished a lot, and I'm proud of things like the library, the utility commission, the affordable housing commission that we created. I think we've been good stewards of the town, the taxpayers. And I want to thank everyone here, Tucker, Bob. If Kevin were here, I'd thank him for his leadership. Oh, yes. And thank you as well. And everyone else out there. And good luck to Eric and the incoming class. Good luck.
Thank you, Mark.
I'd like to say something.
Go ahead, Christina.
I have to say that your in-depth knowledge of the town astounded me when I first moved here. And getting to know you over the years is just leaves me speechless. You seem to know the ins and outs and how to get around and how to get things done. And you've been an inspiration on many things. So thank you for that. Your calm, your charm at times has helped a lot in getting us through the long meetings. And I consider you a friend, and I wish you luck in your next endeavor, but you're not going to be too far. You'll just be sitting on the other side.
That's true. Won't be too far.
So
Thank you.
see you on the other side.
Thank you very much. All right, a little.
Wait.
Thank you.
I want to say, Robin,
Ah.
you have been invaluable. And some of the things you've done have been so inspiring to everybody in town. The swap shop is so popular. You can't keep things in and you can't keep things from going out. I am so impressed by your energy and your ideas and your willingness to put yourself out there and say things. I just remember when you first came to town council to talk about, I think it was the bags and recycle, and you sat on that side and you explained how the charges would be, and you took the time and the thought to think about how it would impact the stores, and you presented it so well to the town council. We all bought into it. And now we carry things out without bags out of the store. So thank you. And Mark, I'll miss you not sitting next to me. You've been the referee on a couple of different conversations, and you've just been so professional and inspiring. So thank you for being there. And your 4 years on town council proved that you've done a lot for the town.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
All right. I did take the time to make my top 10 list.
Excuse me, Steve, before
Yes.
you get your top 10, Rita has her hand.
Oh, Rita.
I'm sorry to just make this go on longer, but I had to say something about Mark and Robin, because Mark and Robin are part of the reason why I even wanted to be on town council. You guys inspired me. And Robin, I you're the reason why I'm buying things I don't need at the swap shop. You've just been like a pioneer in terms of Planet New Canaan and everything you've done for the town. And you know, Mark, you have a full-time job, and you're spending all this time just trying to help New Canaan. And so I just want to thank both of you for all the time and all the hard work and for inspiring me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita.
And before we get, we have another hand up in Zoom land.
Oh, who's that?
Sorry, I just want to say thank you to Mark and Robin too. I didn't want to let it go unsaid. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Maria. All right,
Here's
top
the
10 list.
Top 10.
Top 10 list is things I won't miss about the town council. Number 10, having no snacks available. Number 9, drop Zoom calls and tech issues, which we experienced tonight from speakers and presenters. Number 8, the grind of budget meetings in March. I will not miss that. Number 7, the last minute texts, emails, and phone calls before meetings. Won't miss that either. Number 6, forgetting something and borrowing it from Mark and Penny. Number 5, late night cramming for meetings and while I'm at work. I will not miss that either. And number 4, controversial meetings on cell towers and old library buildings. Number 3, running our meetings directly from work and running from meetings directly from work. Number 2, losing my place on the iPad. Really hated that. And number 1, the number 1 reason I will not miss town council is skipping meals, especially dinner. Did a quick calculation, 190 regular meetings, 200 town council, board of finance and budget meetings, 200 roughly committee meetings. And I didn't add in planning and zoning, park and rec, or board of ed, but somewhere around 1,000 dinners I've missed so far. So, and I'm not even finished yet. So that's the one thing I won't miss. All right, here's the top 10 things I will miss. I will miss. Number 10, Luke's continuous loyalty and support. Thank you, my man. Number 9,
Be the top 10.
Rita's inquisitive and thoughtful questions and overall preparedness. Thank you, Rita. Thank you for everything you're doing. Number 8, Kim's perspectives, ideas, work on committees, and her help on bylaws and ordinances. I will miss that. And your resiliency. You just keep on coming and keep on coming. So keep it up. Number 7, Maria, your Board of Ed experience, your expertise, your positive attitude, your loyalty, and your quiet tenacity. Man, you are tough sometimes. Keep it up. Number 6, Christina, you're absolutely, your building experience and your architectural and historic knowledge of this town are second to none. And thank you for that. I will miss that. And your loyalty to the town and your knowledge of the town, again, is something I'll miss. Number 5, Mike. Man, the legal stuff that you bring, your perspective, and all the involvement you have with the PD and public safety. And you mentioned it before, our friendship is second to none. I met you when you were, I consider you a kid. Now you're a man. So there you go. We expect some strong leadership. We expect some strong leadership out of you, my man. Number 4, Hillary. Where do I start with Hillary? She is, I can't, I mean, I need all night for Hillary, but she has the ability to wrap up a point and get us moving. And I will never forget what she did for us here, where we would go on and on and on, and Hillary would be like, one sentence, subject's over. Amazing. You're fair. You're a steward of New Canaan. Your approach is exemplary. And I really will miss working with you. So thank you so much. That was number 4. And number 3, Penny. I will miss your experience, your sage advice, and I will miss my longest tenured person on the council. There is no one who has a resume like this woman. No one will ever have a resume like Penny Young. You're amazing and a mentor, and I thank you, and I will miss you. Number 2, Tom. He took over for me on bylaws and ordinances, and I was always worried, like, what's going to happen with bylaws and ordinances if I don't have my fingers in it? And Tom took it, ran with it, and excelled and made me look bad. I mean, he was amazing, thoughtful, listener, everything you'd want in that position. He's been amazing. And when I think of 2 words to describe Tom, it really is fair and balanced. And Tom represents the best in a fair and balanced leader. And thank you so much for all you do, Tom. And I will miss that. And the number 1 thing I'll miss is the feeling. The feelings that are generated when I come to a meeting is really amazing. It's the nervous anticipation of the meeting coming up, the important meeting. It's that butterflies. You've all had it. And also the sense of accomplishment when you make a difference in a meeting, and you've all had that as well. And then finally, that feeling you get when you take on a large problem, a hard problem, and you tackle it as 12 people together. That's what makes this special. And that's what I'll miss. So thank you all for all you've done. And that's my top 10 list. And I can't go without thanking my wife, Tracy. She's been a rock. So thank you, Tracy. Behind every good man, there's a woman, and I've got the best. Tucker, Bob, thank you very much. Ann, you're the best. I also want to recognize Wendy is our resident sort of citizen at large. Wendy's been at every meeting we've had for so long. And Wendy, thank you so much for coming. We miss having a full audience here, and we thank you for coming to these meetings. And there's nothing like being live, and that's why I love coming to these meetings. I hope in the future that this doesn't turn into 11 people on Zoom and 1 chairman sitting here, because it's important that we all get in a room together. We see each other. There's nothing like eye contact. And thank you for coming to these meetings. We really appreciate it. All right, well, wrapping it up. Oh, Eric, good luck. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. You're going to love it. All right, it was an honor and privilege to serve as chairman. You know, I appreciated our ability to work together and make our town a better place. We had healthy discussions, sometimes a little tough at times, but we always got the job done. As I leave, I ask you to continue to be as kind as you are to the next chair as you were to me. That you continue to debate in a healthy and constructive way and fight as hard as you can against letting your personal beliefs or political affiliation get in the way of good governance. We need to be the example that Washington and Connecticut is not at the moment. We can do it. I know we can do it. You guys are great. Take a moment and try to understand each other's position. Listen more, talk less, and do your homework. Agree to disagree, but don't hold grudges. And I don't think anybody here does. Avoid any conspiracy theories and talk to people about what they're saying and listen to what they're saying. People will give you the straight answers around here. Use social media to be social, not antisocial. Type your response, walk away, take a breath before you hit send. Represent all. When your hand is on the Bible and you raise your hand, there are 5 fingers on your hand. Each one of those fingers is 4,000 people. There's 20,000 people out there. That means a lot. You're a 12-member team, have each other's back. Each of us puts in a ton of time. How will you be remembered? Did you make a difference? What's your town council legacy look like? Enjoy your time. It's going to go quick. And remember to laugh. Remember to laugh. I wish you guys all the best. I absolutely can't wait because I'm not going to be far away. I'll be watching. Let the new chapter begin. Have Have a good night. Motion to adjourn. Thank you all. That's unanimous. Ben Sokos.
Good job.
Yes, sorry.